Well, after years of drug activity and crime at a hotel in Anchorage's Spenard neighborhood, tonight that owner and a manager have been arrested for distributing drugs on the property. And this comes days after law enforcement shuttered the hotel.
Federal charging documents accuse a 62-year-old Anchorage man and owner of the Chelsea Inn Hotel, Young Soo, and a 36-year-old woman and manager of the hotel, Chantel Fields, of conspiring to maintain the building for drug distribution and use. Sue and Fields are both accused of using the Chelsea Inn to store drugs and directing people to buy from dealers living at the hotel. Charging documents state a $20 door fee was charged for people to access the hotel to buy and use drugs there.
Multiple federal agencies and the Anchorage Police Department announced the arrests and the forfeiture of the Chelsea Inn. Forfeiture means that the property itself is being treated as a defendant, and owners may lose the property with no compensation due to allegations the hotel was used to store and distribute drugs.
On Friday, an early morning raid of the building led to the seizure of 11 firearms, thousands of rounds of ammunition, substantial quantities of drugs, and about $45,000 in cash.
I also want this case to serve as an example and a warning to individuals peddling narcotics in our communities that are fueling violent crime.
I also want to recognize the Spenard community. We know that over the last couple of years that this particular location has had a significant impact on the residents and the businesses around this hotel. And after this operation is done, we've added additional police officer resources within the area. We've also started having social service agencies and partners in the area almost immediately after this operation was done. Within a couple hours, we had 3 individuals that we got into treatment. So it's not always about just the arrest and the crime. It's about making sure that we take care of those that are left behind.
Both Case and Heyman speaking at a press conference today. The Anchorage Police Department saying they've responded to over 1,000 calls for service to the Chelsea Inn Hotel since 2020. Charging documents say many of those calls were related to drug use, overdoses, and violent crime. The hotel owner and manager are expected to appear in court on Wednesday.
Well, now that the hotel has been seized, it sits vacant and boarded up.
Our Joe Allgood is live at the site now as neighbors tell us they're relieved.
Well, as you can see, it's a very different scene here in Spenard compared to last Friday. Obviously, the FBI and the police are no longer here. And of course, the Chelsea Inn behind me has been boarded up and it sits vacant after the property has been seized. And after that raid on Friday, the neighbors in the area are breathing a little bit easier. They say they had noticed suspicious activity for years, which reached its worst in the last couple of months. They describe feeling unsafe, seeing people at strange hours outside, sitting in broken down cars, and using drugs.
At one point, I had a guy take a baseball bat to another guy in the back of my parking lot. So, you know, and that's midday when I had a room full of people.
Everyone was calling the cops all the time. It seemed like they took a really long time to get there, unfortunately, but I think there was a plan behind it. So now I think we're all understanding why.
The notices behind me next to the door say that the building has been seized and it's up for forfeiture, but of course the case is ongoing, so we'll see what happens to the property. Joe Allgood, Alaska's news source.
And the U.S. Coast Guard announced its largest drug bust to date, with over $400 million worth of drugs seized near Miami on Monday.
Investigative reporter Johnson Kuhn spoke with the Coast Guard today. He joins us now in studio with that story. Johnson.
That's right. The Coast Guard cutter Hamilton's crew reportedly offloaded 76,140 pounds of illegal drugs after months of individual seizures throughout the summer.
For the Coast Guard, this is such a significant achievement to offload this amount of drugs.
Coast Guard Southeast Public Affairs officers speaking to the significance of the offload, which was made up of 19 separate seizures within the Eastern Pacific Ocean and Caribbean Sea between June and August. Monday, the offloading at Port Everglades near Miami was announced. A total of over 76,000 pounds of drugs. That's approximately 61,000 pounds of cocaine and 14,000 pounds of marijuana, valued at $473 million, making it the largest quantity of drugs offloaded in Coast Guard history.
It's approximately 23 million lethal doses that we're keeping outside of the United States. That's huge. That's almost the entire state of Florida.
Lieutenant Converso says the crew on board the cutter Hamilton, who was instrumental in many of the seizures, is gearing up for a brief break at home before getting back to patrolling the waters. Each of the 19 cases have been passed on to the Department of Justice for prosecution. Johnson Kuhn, Alaska's news source.
Prince William Sound is the location of one of the largest environmental cleanup projects in the United States. Our Justin Mattson visited Montague Island to learn about the Gulf of Alaska Keeper's work and how its crews are clearing miles of coastline each summer.
Montague Island looks like paradise until you arrive on the beach.
Hundreds and hundreds of tons of garbage piled up out there.
Walk along the coast and you'll find all types of marine debris from across the Pacific region. Like this pile of rope.
And there's a tremendous amount of nets and lines and buoys and floats and totes and everything else related to commercial fishing industry.
Along with fishing gear of all kinds, thousands of different types of plastic items litter this coast.
We expected maybe 400 tons on the whole island, and I expect it's probably closer to 1,000 tons.
We found a lot of bike helmets with like spiky mohawks, fly swatters, some hummingbird feeder parts, golf ball, like little ping pong balls.
Some of the debris is still chemically hazardous, such as these logs covered in creosote.
There's hundreds of different chemicals in creosote, and it's preservative to keep logs and lumber from rotting away.
We found ourselves on a part of the island that the team has yet to clean. Even just looking around, we found two of these, chemical containers.
We find a lot of these big drums, 50-gallon drums that if they haven't been broken open by the ocean or hitting logs or rocks, they often have chemicals in them. So we have gotten to a point where we're finding those, we spray paint them, we mark them with GPS. We're gonna come back, pick them up and get them out of here.
The Gulf of Alaska Keeper team collects everything it can and puts it into giant piles, which will then be flown onto a barge and taken away from Montague's fragile ecosystem. Go AK says this is not only to help the island, but to protect the rest of the state.
Because it is out here on the front lines of the islands in the bay, it collects a ton of trash. And so this is kind of the first line of where if we can keep trash off this beach, keep it from flowing in and flowing back out and start making its way deeper into the sound, you know, that's good for the people that recreate there, that's good for the fish, the wildlife, everything.
From Montague Island, Justin Mattson, Alaska's news source.
Great story, Justin. And the clouds are back in Anchorage tonight, and we hear more than just cloudy skies on the way.
That's right. Chief Meteorologist Melissa Fry, you're tracking a line of storms moving in. Sounds like a wet week, Melissa.
Yeah, it's really a series of 3 storms that are going to impact most of the state. Southeast, you are the one exception to that, still seeing hot conditions there. But look at this line of cloud cover extending from western Alaska all the way across the Bering Sea down into the western Pacific. This is an atmospheric river, the first in a series of storms that will bring wet conditions. Right now, flood watches are in effect. All the areas highlighted in green. You want to watch those streams and rivers. They will be running high this week. All the areas highlighted there in brown. Wind advisories in effect. That's where we're going to see gusts between 40 and 60 miles per hour, continuing all the way through Wednesday morning. Now, Anchorage, Fairbanks, Palmer, Ketchikan, you wouldn't even know these storms are out there. Right now, we're still seeing above average temperatures, nearly 70 degrees in both Ketchikan and in we do have some cloud cover, and you can already see the wind picking up in Anchorage, gusts over 30 miles per hour. Those are going to stay strong tonight and tomorrow, but the heaviest rain, that is going to be that line really from Bethel north to the Brooks Range. A few showers likely in Fairbanks as we head into tomorrow. Chances for showers in Anchorage Wednesday, but we won't see that heavier rain until later in the week, Thursday and Friday. So for your Tuesday, Anchorage 65, you'll see just a few sun breaks, otherwise mostly cloudy. Similar conditions through the interior with those winds picking up. Juneau's still holding on to that beautiful sunshine in mid-60s. Bethel is where we will continue to see the cooler rain here for the next couple days. As these storms push east, though, more impacts moving into south central and the interior, and all those details here in just a few minutes.
All right, Melissa, thanks so much. And still ahead, fall is almost here, bringing a big competition to the Alaska State Fair. I'm so excited.
Oh my
for this
gosh,
story.
look at that. Oh, it's huge.
Look at that thing.
All right, we're going to see who took home the title this year's Alaska Midnight Sun Great Pumpkin Weigh-Off. Coming up.
Here we go. Top story of the night. It's a much anticipated event at the Alaska State Fair and a sure sign of fall and the most anticipated story on my watch list.
I know you're excited about this.
I really am.
Oh, man. Lauren Maxwell, she made it out to the fair, checking in with the reigning champion of the Alaska Midnight Sun Great Pumpkin Weigh-Off. Had to see if he has another winner on his hands.
This year, Dale Marshall is entering two very different pumpkins.
This is like your classic bean bag.
One that looks like someone sat on it, and another
That's almost flawless in the way.
that has a classic beauty for a squash. But that doesn't matter to Marshall.
For me, it's all about the weight. If that thing weighs 500 pounds more than that, I don't care what this one looks like.
After months of hard work in his Jewel Lake greenhouses, it is time for the weigh-in. When the roofs come off and a giant crane lifts the pumpkins high into the air, the operator says the scale on his crane is looking pretty good.
Told me I might be pleasantly surprised. I said, let's stop right there. I don't want no more hints. So we'll see.
Marshall says he'll take his chances as he packs up his precious cargo and prepares to hit the highway for the fair. Once there, he discovers a surprise. His only competition comes from a first-time grower, and it's rather small.
This is literally the first seed I've ever planted in my entire life, and this is the result.
And when it is time for the weigh-in to begin,
1,820 pounds!
Marshall's pumpkin is the clear winner at 1,820 pounds, landing Marshall a prize of $1,000.
That's why you have to win to break even.
And bragging rights for another year.
Now, this is Marshall's 14th win. He's kind of unstoppable when it comes to growing big pumpkins, but he did tell me he'll be back again next year. Lauren Maxwell, Alaska's news source.
Over 1,800 pounds.
Huge. It's
incredible.
unbelievable. And they get a crane to move it. I just respect the commitment.
I love it. I love you got to witness that. All right. We got the Beach Boys. They will not be performing at the State Fair tonight, announcing the cancellation of the show. Their stop in Palmer is supposed to be part of their Sounds of Summer tour.
Alaska State Fair CEO Jeff Curtis says the band told the fair that they could not come to Alaska. The fair says it respects the band's decision and encourages fairgoers to check out the fair's many other attractions going on right now. There are also other concerts you can enjoy this week.
What I will tell you is that artists love coming up here. This is a unique venue. They connect with Alaskans, and so when we recruit them, that's one of the things that we hear about is what a special venue we have here at the Alaska State Fair and this experience they receive. So cancellations are pretty rare, and they're usually in uncontrollable circumstances.
Yeah, it is a great venue. Curtis says that the Beach Boys did add that they would like to return to the fair if available in the future.
Thanks for listening. Click subscribe so you can get the latest podcast from Alaska's news source automatically. And stay up to date with breaking news and in-depth reporting available for free 24/7 with the Alaska's news source app.